This is Mike Leahy. Thanks for joining us today. We're having our Pulse Dashboard Advanced Training session today, and I'd like to introduce Stacy Bennison on our staff, one of our consultants who is going to help out today. Something that's unique about Stacy is that she spent about 10 years at one of our dashboard customers, so she was on your side of the fence, and she was involved in the accounting function and inventory control and inventory optimization. So if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat. Stacy will answer them. If it's a question that looks like it applies to everybody, then she will wait and then answer it when we'll take a couple breaks to bring everybody up to date. Okay. So
great.
This is my picture. This is Stacy's picture. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we have been in business forever. We have worked with the Macola software forever. 95% of our customers are manufacturers. Our core competency is extracting data out of your Macola database to help you make better and faster, more timely decisions. So that's a lot of that's the theme of our software, and sort of a micro theme is an emphasis to shipping on time and to help you determine why you're not able to ship on time. If you have a production order that's late or you don't have the sufficient quantity on order to meet that customer demand. So the idea is to ship on time and then everything to help you with that. This is a list of the modules. We're going to skip over this. You know this, you're using the software already. This is something that Monty Guy started. Monty retired twice on us, and you may know his name from his 25 years at Macola as well, before 10 years with us. But this was his mantra, that you should be able to focus. You need to feel comfortable sorting, filtering, grouping, using the column chooser and the right mouse button. And we'll emphasize the right mouse button in a minute. But the idea is that you have a screen up and you need to be able to sort comfortably, filter comfortably, apply a group to it, change the columns around, add things from the column chooser, which includes a custom formula, and then remembering to every once in a while right click and see what the options are. And then his thought here, which is true, if you can master the above, then you can use most any report in the software. So this is the mantra of our software also, that Macola has the data, but Pulse has the information. In other words, we're taking the raw data and we're converting it to information to help you make better and faster decisions. So we're going to exit from this. And as we get started, one of the benefits of putting in a question in the when you register is that is sure to get answered. So Jackie at one of our customers asked a question: is there any way that I can see open customer orders and the details of those? So there's a variety of ways, and so we'll just get warmed up. In the customer orders summary, there's a field here called open orders. If you drill down on it, then you can apply this and get the column chooser however you want. So that's one way. And we're talking about open customer orders. This customer orders summary, the same thing. Here's this 2,104,000. I can click on it and see the same thing. In this case, it's by customer. And then I have a second drill down below here. This is the summary at the top, and this is the more details below. But there's also a report called Customer Order Summary. And I'm going to, if I right click here, it's called Customer Order Summary. So what you would do is hit the plus sign here, right click, say add new report, go to executive, say an executive, and go to Customer Orders Summary. And there's two reports here. There's a summary report and there's a detailed, and you want to choose detailed. Watch what happens to these column headings when you do that. And at this point now, you have And you could add customer number, whatever you want to add to that. This particular one, I already had it running here, this open customer orders here. So this is what I did to customize mine. So if you have any questions, and this applies to everybody, you have unlimited phone support. So it's just a matter of going to help, about. You can click on this, call this phone number, or you can click on this email address, and that goes directly to our support desk. And the way our support desk is when you send something to the desk, it gets distributed to 3 or 4 people in the event that 1 or 2 people are busy and maybe somebody else can answer it the same day.
I would always recommend that you send the email to the support at Pulse Dashboard. Not that we don't want to talk to you, but because we want to talk to you, it would be better if we get the ticket on the support email, and that way for sure somebody will get back to you quickly. If you leave a voicemail, a lot of times what happens is that gets stuck until that person gets freed up to listen to the voicemail. So it helps us to help you better and quicker if you just send the email and it gets distributed.
And we love screenshots. You can't send us too many screenshots.
Oh, yeah.
What you're doing, what report you're in, first of all, what you're trying to do. I mean, the software has been out there for 15 years, so it's not like the likelihood of you uncovering some bug in the software is probably pretty remote. It's a lot of times somebody will call and say, well, my report doesn't, and we say, well, look down here in the lower left corner and just get rid of that filter that you put on that you forgot to. So just send us screenshots, and we love screenshots, and we'll get back to you right away. Okay, so we've talked about open customer orders. What I'm going to do now is I sent out this advanced techniques training material, and we're going to use, it's going to be hard, it's 29 pages, and there's a lot of details. It's an excellent reference manual, but we don't have time to go through all the pages. So what I'm going to try to do today is to take the cover page, which talks about standard features, popular features, and advanced module, we're going to talk about that. Now, if you have your pencil in your hand, we just came out with a brand new version, which is, if you want to write this down, is version 5.61.0, 5.61.0. That's the newest version. You don't have to be on that version, but if you're on 550 or something that's really old, we would advise you to update. You have unlimited phone support and unlimited hand-holding on doing updates. So if you don't have an IT person or you're uncomfortable, just give us a call and we will we'll help you get your software upgraded to the newest version. Okay, so one of the things that I was going to talk about today, well, let's go over some just little fundamentals. I'm going to hit the plus sign here, and we'll just take a blank screen here. If I right click, and we talked earlier about the right clicking, first of all, I can change the name of it. And then if I have a report there already, I can refresh that, or I can add a new report. So let's go ahead and add a new report. So I'm going to go down to inventory, and I'm going to take this inventory status report. So I'm just winding my way down, and I'm just going to click this. So here it is, and now I can move it. I can drag this up. So you're seeing I'm dragging on. You can drag this up like this, or you can right click and say fit to screen. And at this point, there's the report. So it's very, very easy. Just hit the plus sign, right click. Now I can also do something else, is I can take a report. Let's say I want to take a sales report. I'm going to right click. Remember, again, we're right clicking on this blue bar. I'm going to say copy the report. And then I'm going to go back here to where I was a minute ago. Just like Excel, I can do a control V, or I can just say paste the report. I'm losing my attention here. So there's a variety of people that use our software. Some people just want to be the end user. They're not into exploring new reports. They're just into a pattern. But other people are creating reports constantly. That's something that they really enjoy doing, and we're supporting both of those. So for those who are developing reports on behalf of other people, we have a function of publishing. So if I want to take this Mike's tab, I'll refresh this, and there's a variety of ways of refreshing. I can right-click on the tab and say refresh the tab. I can right-click on the blue bar. Every report has a blue bar, and I can say refresh the report. So at this point, if I have the security rights to do this, I can now publish this report to other people. So in other words, I want to be the recipient of other people's reports, or I see this report, I go by Mike's desk, well, this is a cool report, Mike, can you send this report to me? So I'm going to right click up here and I'm going to say publish the tab. So we're publishing at the tab level, not the report level. And then I can say I want to make a backup for myself. I want to send this to everybody. Typically, you're not going to send it to everybody, or you're going to pick and choose the people on the list here that you want to send it to, and then you're going to say publish. And then the next time, it just takes a split second, the next time that that individual or those individuals open up dashboard, Mike's tab will be there in the executive module. Okay. So let's talk about some other things. We talked about the fact that, let's kind of go over the scenario here. In customer service, we are focusing on finished good items that cannot be shipped on time. So what I'm doing in my case here is I'm looking at the next 5 days, and I want to see, in this case, I have 16 items. I can drill down and I can see, red is bad. So we have a case here where we just don't have, we're not making enough replenishments to meet the demand. So the first idea then is at the customer level. Remember, our goal is to ship on time. The second level of this is in production, where we're looking at production orders that the same kind of routine. I'm looking at over the next, let's look over the next 5 days. And there it is. So in this case, I have 39 components that are preventing me from completing production on time, which in turn are preventing me from shipping on time. So these are the key reports. If you're not using these reports, then I would strongly encourage you. When I refresh this report, this is doing a full MRP regeneration. So for those of you who may be using Macola's MRP, it's impossible to get that kind of instantaneous regeneration. So this is just the beginning then of our philosophy: ship on time, make on time, make money. So every company has to be able to ship on time to make money and prosper. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of this. We have some new features for those of you who would like to get away from having to manually key in production orders constantly. So I'm going to make believe that I am the buyer, Pete Bowers, in the Cincinnati location. And I want the system to tell me everything that I need to order today. So I'll take a look at this ABC fasteners. These are all the items that I need to be ordering. I can actually change this quantity if I want to, or basically I'll just okay a few of these. And the idea is that, as simple as that is, here is the purchase order. It can be in a release state, an unreleased, or printed. And then when I save that, it creates a purchase order in Macola. So the idea of this, and there's a lot of setup, I'm oversimplifying it, but in order to determine what needs to be ordered, maybe I'm using a reorder level, maybe I'm using I'm getting down near my reorder level or my safety stock, or I'm ordering for the next 2 months or the next 30 days. But this is something for you to know. This is one of our key modules. If you are using shop floor, call this shop floor control, and you have outside operations, this can be used to create purchase orders for outside operations for shop orders. Another fundamental under inventory, we have our inventory class generator. And the idea of this is that you need to properly have your inventory class set. And you would say, well, why should I do this? Well, why you should do it is that in Macola, when you add a new part number, unknown to you, it falsely sets up an inventory class of an A, which is not correct. So the way to fix this is to use our ABC generator. So what it does is you say, I want to calculate the fields, and then from here, I can look this over, or I can say update, and it pushes the accurate ABC class. If you're not familiar with ABC classes, or if your company doesn't use that, I would strongly encourage you to understand that. We also have a new feature, a couple of years old, where there may be people in your organization that just will not use the dashboard on their screen. They want reports delivered to them. Maybe they're outside salespeople, maybe they're executives in the company. So we have a Pulse scheduler module, which allows you to say, and I'll just give you a real world example. One of our customers has 60 outside sales reps, and once a month, on the 5th of the month or so, there are 10 reports that are run in Macola in dashboard, exported to Excel, and then emailed to them. And it actually breaks out by sales rep the report, so they only get their territory. And then there's another half dozen reports that are sent to senior management in this company. So they've totally automated the running of the reports. They run it at midnight or something like that. They automatically export to Excel, and then they email those reports. So that's the Pulse scheduler, if you're not familiar with that. Something I want to bring up, that we've had this in here for years, but trying to remember where this is. Okay, I go to administration, I go to tools. If your Macola software is bogging down or dashboard is bogging down, and you're wondering, well, maybe you have 5 or 10 years worth of data. If you go up here and you run this archive report, this is a no-cost copy of the archive report that we've developed for Pulse Archive, but this will tell you how many years and how many records of data that you have that maybe are too many. Like having sales data for 15 years probably is not, or buying history for 10 years is probably not going to do you any good. So let's talk about this also under company settings. There is also the MRP setting. We won't get into that today, but Macola, remember, has, like for customer orders, has a lot of fields that are date fields. And some of them are confusing. There's a requested date, and then there's an REQ date. Well, the REQ date is not the requested date. It's the date that you are required to ship it to get it there by the request date. So if nobody in your organization is familiar with this, these are the MRP settings. Each of these need to be set properly. Remember, we have our shortage report. So in your company, what is the drop dead date for shipping an order out? Is it the requested date? Is it the promised date? Or is it the required ship date? The purchase orders, that's pretty easy there. The purchase orders are using either the request date or the promised date. Okay, so we've covered some of those things there. And I should mention in my screens here, in some cases I have renamed a report, like when we talked about before, this customer orders, open customer orders. It really is called customer orders summary. So don't. It maybe it's a little distracting if my report names are a little slightly different. Their tab names are slightly different than yours are. But let's talk about a couple of features that I think would be just very powerful in terms of increased productivity for people. And that is, now I'll show you the report that we have, and then I'll back in and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to look up this, I'm going to put in E3089. And what this is doing right now is it is refreshing, and it's telling me all my summary information. It's showing me historical information, MRP. But the point that I'm wanting to make here is that this is something brand new for a lot of people. I've added buttons here. So here's my part, E3089. I want to see what my aging looks like for that. I want to see what my inventory turns look like for that. I want to see what my usage looks like. I want to see what my inventory transactions look like. So this is, remember that this report, this item details, is designed, it was designed years ago to replace Macola's multiple level item view. And so this is just a little bit more frosting on the cake to get more and more information. So so I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I'm going to take a plus sign. We're going to start a new tab. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say add new report, and I'm going to go to inventory, and I'm going to go to inventory detail, where is it? Detail view. And we have these, what we want to show this. We won't go into that today, but I'm just going to say okay. So you can see that section for the tabs. I'll make this E3089. Okay. So what I'm going to do is a couple real simple things. I'm going to add the inventory turns graph to this. So I'm going to go to summary, and I'm going to go right click. I'm right clicking and copying this report. I'm going to go back here to my new tab. I'm going to go back into the setup, and then down here, I don't have to do anything fancy. I just have to say add report from clipboard. And there it is. Well, except I have to put a real part number back in here again. So there it is. Terms doesn't work for some reason on that. Okay, so let's take a look at something else. Let's go for inventory transactions. So I'm going to right click, copy, go back to here. Make this fit the screen better. And there it is. The only drawback of this is you have to put in the part number as you're developing this, 3089. And here are the inventory transactions. So if this I think is pretty cool. This is real popular with customers. A lot of people missed the memo when we had training about this new feature with the buttons. And talking about things that people maybe have seen or not seen, we developed, and everybody got a copy of this with your handout today, and that is our catalog of no-cost custom reports. And some of them do require the designer module. But the idea is that over time, we've developed a whole handful of reports that have been very beneficial to at least the customer who we developed it for. All of our customers are manufacturers, so the likelihood that some of those reports will be beneficial. So if you see a report in there, they're numbered like P1, P2, or E1, E2. Just give our go to help, go to about, start an email and say, I want report number P1 and P7. Okay, something else that has been very popular is what we call our Advanced Screen Designer. And the Advanced Screen Designer is designed to take two reports and link them together. So you see I have these two reports that are mended together at the hip. And when normally when I would drill down on something, the screen would go away. I go to the drill down screen. I have to press escape to come back. I go to the next one. So this allows you just instantaneous. What I'm doing is I'm looking at purchase order receipts for my top vendors, technically over the past 20. No, I'm showing the top 20 for 6 months. So how did I do this? How did I create this report that links? And the idea is that I can theoretically link any two reports in the system together. If you're having difficulty with this, please call our support desk. But let's talk about how we created this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new report here. And I'm going to, instead of going to purchasing, what I'm going to do is when I say add new report, I'm going to say I want to go for this Advanced Screen Designer. Well, that wasn't what I thought I was getting. I'll get this a second. There, I chose the wrong one. I'm just going to hit OK. Don't worry about all this stuff here. And you can see I have a blank report. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to take a stock status report, do something real simple. And here's my stock status report. I'm going to right click, copy the report, go back into purchasing. And here at this point, you don't have to do anything. You just click, just left click here. See how it brought it in? So here's the top report. Where I'm heading for is I want to be able to look at, say, inventory turns, or I want to be able to look at just something down below here. So I'm going to add inventory turns. So I'm going to go back to inventory. I'm going to go to summary. I'm going to take inventory turns here, right click, copy, go back to purchasing, and then just click here. And if I've done this correctly, I should be able to, some of these items don't have turns. Some of these don't have enough usage, so let's see what I can do to make that work better. I'll go to usage. Well, you get the idea. I may not have done it completely here. It says here that the item has to be stocked and controlled, and the location has to be Cincinnati. Okay, well, that's the problem that I caused here. Let's take that out of here. There we go. So this is just a demonstration here of this Advanced Screen Designer. If this is overwhelming, please call our support desk. It does take a little bit to get the hang of how this works. I noticed earlier here that I went over this report, and Macola has an excellent database, but it's missing some key metrics that we feel will make life much, much easier for everybody who's handling inventory, which is 100% of our customers. So what we did is, you probably heard about our stored procedures. These are programs that run in the middle of the night, and they calculate different things. And one of the things that they calculate is months of inventory on hand. They calculate a usage trend, average usage over the past 3, 6, and 12 months, date of last usage, date of last purchase, date of last inventory activity, date of last manufacturing, date of last sale. So those are some key. But then in addition to that, we have usage month by month by month for the past 24 months. And then we have, for the first time, on-hand quantities. Like, there's no way in Macola to say, well, what was my on-hand quantity at the end of January? It doesn't exist. So we calculate every night usage for 24 months, on hand for 24 months, what you purchased for 24 months may actually be 12 months and not 24. So these metrics now can be applied to any report in the system. Anything that has an item number to it, you can apply these to. So if you're in a purchasing report or a suggested report, and you want to look at what your usage trend is, then you could do that. Let's say also that you wanted to come up with a formula that would be the percent trend up or down. And just to give you an idea, if I go into the column chooser, you probably have seen where it says create custom formula. So I'm just going to call this test. We're not actually going to do this because this would be a whole class by itself. But if you're familiar with using Excel functions, Excel formulas, like these are all of the functions that exist within, so what you can do is you can create a formula and then have that be permanently in here. And while we're in here looking at, this is the column chooser. So how did I get here? For those of you who may not be familiar, this grid here, this is what we call the matrix or the column chooser. It looks like a little Excel graph, piece of graph paper. That's where we're storing all these. So what we've done is any report that has anything to do with items, inventory, customers, usage, sales, you have all of these fields available. Like, here's something I did mention before. This is 24 months. What did I purchase? What was the quantity I purchased month by month? What was the dollars that I purchased month by month? So these are fields, these are metrics that we've created that are available in the column chooser. If you're more focused on sales, then we have actually 400 formulas that we created. So let's say that I want to look at something month to date. So I'll just type in month to date, MTD. So at this point, you can see these are all the metrics that we have: month to date invoice dollars versus budget, month to date invoice dollars versus the prior month at the end of the month, or the prior year, or month to date versus month to date. So you can see these are just all the ones that have to do with month to date. If I was to look at year to date, YTD, so at some point, what you should do is, just to get comfortable with these, maybe just create a report from scratch and just start, spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes going down here and just getting a feel for what is available, because it is outstanding. And one little trick here that is important to know, like in my inventory status report, I have a location that I have specified. So when I'm looking here about date of last this, date of last that, on-hand quantities, you see where this says on-hand quantity location, but I could have on-hand quantity for all locations. Like I'll show you what that. See here, these are all the metrics for all locations or just a single location. So the point that I wanted to make, just to make sure everybody knows this, if I was to remove this column here by just dragging this off, then all of these on-hand quantities, well, they have to say all locations. The report will now automatically recalculate for all locations. So the data last usage or the data last activity would no longer be just for Cincinnati. It would now be for all locations. And in this particular case, there are a bunch of locations. So that's part of the magic of the software, is that when you remove a field, you may not know it, but it is reconfiguring to summarize up by item number instead of by item number and location. For those of you who are in the administration or in the accounting department, I just want to make sure that you're aware in our, trying to see where I put it, we have created customer collection notes in the software. That does not exist in Macola. There's no collection, a place to type in collection notes, either at the customer level or at the invoice level. And then you can put in a follow-up date. So for example, this one gives me the phone number, gives me the person to contact. If I call them up, I can put in a note, or if I want to, I can apply the note at the apply to at the invoice level. So this is dynamite. If you're not aware of this, you really should be. These columns, these just need to be added to, in the column chooser, they just need to be added to the report. For those of you who are in the controller function, accounting manager function, you need to be using or know about this customer cash flow forecast. Okay, so why do we do that? We wanted, typically if you were to calculate a cash flow forecast like this manually, this is like 3 or 4 hours of work. And this is how long it takes on our side. I just did that. But when we were developing this, we had a kind of a group of people that got together and we talked about this. People said, well, customers don't pay us based on terms. So why have the forecast be showing based on their terms code? So in other words, if this customer is on a 30-day terms, it doesn't do any good to say, okay, well, this is the money that's coming in this month. So when we set this up, the idea was that we are creating, for accounts receivable, we are calculating based on the average days to pay for each customer. So in other words, when we calculate this, like here, these are all the customers that owe us money. Each one of them has a unique average days to pay. See right here. These are all the unique average days to pay. So why have a forecast that doesn't take it that? And we also can incorporate cash flow items like payroll that are not in Macola, loan payments and so on. Okay, so if you're not sold on this, what back in COVID days, our customers came to us and said, well, I like this, but I need to do what if analysis. What if all of our customers start paying us late? So the idea being, what if all of our customers paid us 15 days late? And look at this number. This is the forecast for the next 30 days versus this. So we had 2 million versus 800. So in other words, over the next 30 days, if everybody pays us late, that will reduce our cash flow by $1,200,000. pretty significant dollar amount. And you can have this be 30-day increments, 1 month increments, however you want to. Okay. So I'm going over some things that I've been collecting that people are liking. Let's talk about something else. You start working on a report and all of a sudden something doesn't go right. You accidentally delete the report and you are in a panic. So what you can do is, and this is why we developed this, because there was 10 years ago, there was no way. So now we have the ability to restore your settings. So what you can do is we save the settings for the past 7 days, and we're allowing you to choose which day you want to go back and restore from. So this is automatic, built into the system, and this is for each individual person. So if you're the administrator for your team and Mary or Bill comes up and they're all upset, you can help them. Sometimes what we recommend for if you're making massive changes to reports is to periodically export the setting to a file. So it only takes a split second. You say export the file, and it's going to give me, and then I could put in like the date here. No, I'm not doing this right. Here it is. There, I saved it to my desktop. Okay, so you know about that. A lot of people, this is an advanced feature that I want to, well, maybe before that, Stacy, how are you doing on answering questions, or are you getting feedback? Are there things that I'm not?
You know what? I haven't had many, but I've got a couple things. There was a question about where the actual AR aging detail is. And you might want to show how you change from the actual normal aging summary to get the details. So that aging detail report is the summary report, but you click on the red wrench and change that to details.
So I'm going
to, and by doing that, you get the other screen.
I'm going to copy this. So here we are. This is our summary. I'm going to make another copy of it here. Now this one, we're going to magically turn it into from a summary to a detail. So we're just going to click here, see how that went away, and we're going to say OK. And we're going to say, here's our detail. And then now you would add the collection notes.
Invoice number and the date and whatever columns you wanted to have on that report.
Or you could just let this be where you could drill down and see the underlying detail. But this is then where you would add the phone number, add the average days to pay and things like that. So it brings up a good point that a lot of these reports have this, we call it the red wrench, it's the settings. And it tells me, like here, I can change these settings. I can create 7 aging categories if I want to. So anytime you're in some of these reports and there's a red wrench, see there's red wrench, red wrench, red wrench. So just click on it and then it's going to allow you to do something it's going to be different for each report. Like this one is here. Here's another summary versus detail. Okay, very good question.
Then the other thing that popped in when you were on the column chooser, looking at numbers versus budget, you might want to touch on where the budgets actually go in.
Oh, good.
The budgets, yeah, because we have, in Macola, you only have the ability really to budget at the GL level. You don't have the ability to budget at the item level, the customer level, the salesperson level. all of those levels where you might want to have a budget that you compare to.
So what you're seeing right now is, it's interesting. I refreshed the data about a half an hour ago. If you let the system sit idle for a certain period of time, and then you come back to your desk and you use it, it wants to refresh things. So it's unfortunately make us wait. But what we're going to get into right now is we're going to get into the ability to budget or forecast at the customer level, the product level, the customer and product, the sales territory, the warehouse location, and anything you want to. Okay, so here we are. So here, as I said, by customer, by salesperson, by item, by customer and item, alternate ship to address, item and location, salesperson and item. So what you can do is you can create your budget from history. You see, I'm saying create from history. Or I can, if you have your budget in Excel, we can import it from Excel, and then you click here to create the template to copy your budget into the template. Once you import that, you now can make all kinds of changes. You can distribute it equally. If you have seasonality, you can go that way. And you can have an unlimited number of budget scenarios. So in this case, I'm calling it the default. These budgets down, I did not key this stuff in myself. I imported this from history. That's how I created that, create this one, and so on. Okay, so now we have a budget in here. Oh, I should mention, this is really cool. The budget is at the dollar level. It's at, let's go back here to units. It's at the dollar level. It's at the units level. It's at the average selling price level. In other words, I can budget average selling price, or it's budgeting by margin. So when we developed this, we had a CFO, one of our customers, that was really into budgeting, and he provided some guidance in terms of how we were going to. Okay, so here's our budget. We have it in there, and now we need to, in each report, remember we have these multiple budget scenarios, so each report has to know what scenario are we using for the forecast, for the budget. In this case, I'm using the default one. So again, for each sales report, you have to tell it which budget you want. It actually defaults to default, or to default. Now, what Stacy was implying a minute ago on the general ledger budgets, like back here, invoice sales versus budget, year-to-date versus budget, so on. Those are general ledger budgets, and I go up to executive, and I go to budgets, and here I can put in a booking budget, a shipments budget, that would be the invoice budget, or a backlog budget. And you would say, woo, I never thought about that. That's really intriguing. Here's a company, somebody came to us at one time and wanted a backlog budget, or wanted a booking budget because they had a goal to book so much each month. So that's,
I think that was me.
Was that? Okay.
I said, I think that was me.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Remember, Stacy and I worked together, I don't know, 8 or 10 years at a McCullough manufacturing company that was sold. Actually, it was sold multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And then they sold the company. I don't know where she went after that, but maybe a year later, we connected again, and I hired her on the spot. Did I ask you if you were looking for a job that day?
I don't know. I don't even remember.
Yeah, the stories may embarrass her, but no, this we had worked together so well. So, and for those,
but there were a lot of these reports that were developed from that relationship, because we were at a point where, unfortunately, back when Macola was, before Macola 10, even before, when we were back on Macola progression, there were just pieces of information that you couldn't get, and this was a way to get them.
So I have one or two more things that I think are important. Stacy, any other questions people have?
No, not at this point. We're good.
Okay. I want to. Most people think that dashboard is only reading data. And you recall before when we went into inventory and we had our class generator that's pushing data back into Macola, that's updating the ABC class. The purchase order generator is creating purchase orders, writing back into Macola. But we also have some functionality on more of a I'm looking for a report to use here. We also have the ability to right click. Remember our right clicking before, maybe when there's something wrong with my right clicking, it's going to take a second to come up here. And I'm going to go down to Macola process, and I'm going to go to, so now you didn't know this, but you can actually edit the purchase order. So what does that mean? What that really means is that you have an obligation to update purchase orders if they're late coming in. So you were supposed to come in on the 1st, you called the vendor or they called you and said, I'm sorry, it's coming in on the 15th. You need to be changing that in Macola. And it's very, very difficult. You have to unrelease the order. It's all very, very difficult. But here, all you need to do is to be able to click on here, click on the calendar, change this date. I'm not changing these realistically, but, and then you're going to say save. That's it. And oh, by the way, you can go up here and you can edit these addresses if you're finding something is, or you can go to the header comments also. So the point being that we can make changes to our open purchase orders. And this purchase order is scheduled to be received. If I see these old purchase orders here, we either need to delete those or we need to update the dates, because Macola still thinks they're coming in, even though maybe it got canceled and we never canceled it in Macola. Okay, so this is purchase order changes. Let's do the same thing in production orders. So I'm going to go to the production summary here. I'm going to go to production orders. I'm going to right click, and I'll show you what we can do here. We had a situation here where a customer came to us and wanted to be able to alter the captured bill of material after the order was on the floor. Well, in Macola, you really can't do that. You have to take the order, you have to somehow unrelease it, go into the captured bill, change it, re-release it, print the paperwork over again, so on and so on. So what I can do here is I can change the bill of material. I can change the due date of that POP order. This is just for POP orders. And I also have the ability to report production from here. This is a little bit obscure. I would suggest use regular Macola. But the ability to change the due date is dynamite. And the ability to change these components if there ever was a need. So that's something that we want to make sure that everybody knows about. Okay, so what did I do here? We spent 45 minutes of everybody's time. I'm still on the first page. I've covered a lot of what is in the 29 pages in the handout, and I think I've covered the things that are the most important. But maybe now that I've sort of shown you the light, feel free again. You have unlimited phone support. Go to about, here's the phone number to call or send it, preferably send an email. And if there's something that I covered that you're not clear on, or something that you found in here that I didn't cover, please just feel free to give us a call. We also, for people who are new with the software, sometimes they just need a little bit of a guiding hand. So if you call up and say, I'm new to Dashboard and I'm trying to produce this inventory status report, I'm trying to add such and such, and just give us a call. And if the report is basic, there's never a cost for that. If you have complex reports, or in a case, the company's been acquired, or there's a brand new CFO or a brand new operations manager, and he or she wants 15 reports, we're going to charge for that for the custom reports. But feel free to give us a call on if you're still finding your way through the software. So Stacy, we're about out of time here. Is there anything that is important that I didn't cover?
Just real quick, we did have one question regarding the cash flow report and how you change the settings to show the one that's 15 days late, and that is where you again would go into each line on this setting, and you would change the offset days there. So you're aging that AR by the due date, but then you would change your offset days to how many days you want to forecast for. And there's an offset date on both the AP and the AR.
So in this particular case, I would suggest you call us up and just give us a call.
Yep, it's a report. The cash flow report is one that takes some time to set up because you have to think about all the different parameters on each of those fields. But we've spent lots of time helping people set those up, so we'll be happy to do so.
Feel free to do that, yeah. And don't forget notes if you're not using that. Don't forget, and if you have suggestions for future training classes, this particular one we haven't had for a while, or if you have reports that you think that we're missing, we've developed a ton of MRP reports that there's no time today to go through those. We have a whole new inventory optimization, a whole new module right here that none of you have. And it incorporates a lot of the custom stuff that we've been developing. Supply chain has been really hot over the past 4 years with the tariffs and everything going on right now. That's going to become even more important, is how to keep your supply chain running. So any ideas you have, we're constantly making enhancements to the software. So just come to us with your suggestions. Okay, thanks for your time today. Thanks for your ongoing support of our software. Appreciate it very much.
Have a great day, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.